So welcome back, everyone. My next guest is also another newbie with me. I have with me Doug Price, and he is the owner of law offices of Douglas B. Price, PC. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hi, Carol. I'm real happy to be here this afternoon. I'm an attorney. I'm licensed by the State Bar of Arizona. That's a statewide license. And I've been practicing now for 36 years in a number of different areas, including estate planning. That's what I really want to talk about today. Also, we do bankruptcy, all different chapters. And we also do personal injury, which includes especially car accidents.
Sure. No, but you also said before you came on that you have some people out of state that you work with. It was important what you said because so many people do have either family living out of state when something happens here. Maybe they have their loved one here. Will you say that again for everybody, for me?
Sure. A lot of times we'll have people who live in another state like California or maybe on the East Coast. They have relatives here. Perhaps they have a parent here who's passed away, or perhaps they have a child here, and they are related and need legal assistance in Arizona.
Now, let's talk a little bit about this. That's so important because most people put their heads in the sand with all of this kind of stuff. Okay, it's very important for people to listen up, and I'm going to say this to you that you don't know, okay, that I had my dad who thought he had it all done, perfect, all ready for everybody. Nope, he made a mistake too, and I was the one that got hurt, okay, and so anyone could be making mistakes. Do you do second opinions?
Well, I think every lawyer does second opinions to some extent, as long as there's no conflict of interest.
Okay, but they can bring them out, dust them off, and make sure that they're done correctly.
And absolutely, we do a free review of wills and trusts. If somebody has something, particularly if it's been a while, if it's been 5 or 10 years since they've done it, it may be out of date. There may be people named in that document who are no longer living or who are no longer at the same address, or the marital status may have changed.
You got to check them out, guys. You can't just keep them, put them in the bag, and that's it, and they're down there, and you think you're all set. You never know. Take them out. Relook at them. Sometimes people look at them all the time, and that's good. That's a great thing that you're on top of things. All right, let's talk a little bit about this. Why do people need a will or a trust?
They need a will or a trust for 2 reasons. First of all, to determine who gets their stuff when they die, and to make that determination.
It's all about the stuff, unfortunately, at the end, isn't it?
It is. The money, the bank accounts, the cars, the houses.
Sure.
The second reason they need a will or a trust is to determine who's in charge of that estate, who's going to be what's called the personal representative. And they can either pick somebody they trust and also, of course, pick an alternate, or the statute's going to pick somebody for them. It may not be the person they want.
Right. You want to make sure that you get what you want. That's what it's all about. Now, you say that you work statewide, but you also help people that are out of state too, in some states, correct?
As long as it's something that's in Arizona.
Okay, so you have to have an issue here that's happening, and if you have somebody living here and you live out of state, that's a perfect example.
Right, or somebody that dies here and you live out of state.
Now, he's been doing this for 36 years. The website is azlegal.net. You can also call him direct. His phone number is 480-345-8100. So what's the difference between a will and a trust? What's the difference?
Well, a trust is generally a lot more involved. There are thousands of different kinds of trusts. A will is usually a simple will. A lot of times the will and the trust go together because you'll have the trust that makes the estate plan, and then the will is an insurance policy for things that maybe aren't put into the trust, because if the property is not put into the trust, you still need to do something with it. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people don't really need a trust. They just need a will if their estate is small and simple. And it's less expensive to do just a will than to do a will and a trust.
So let me ask you something. What you said there's thousands of different kinds of trusts, right? Don't name them all because we don't have time.
Right.
But why are there so many different ones, and how would you know which one you need?
Well, every situation is unique, and different people want different things. So there's a trust for every need and for every personal preference that you can imagine.
So that becomes like a personal well, I guess it would be something that when you are doing something, each one is personalized to your needs, correct?
That's correct.
Now, is that where the free review on those come in?
That's correct, because, again, your needs may change. One of the popular trusts is called a marital trust or a bypass trust, and what it's the reason you do this trust is to protect the children of the marriage, because if one spouse dies and the surviving spouse remarries, you don't want the surviving spouse to give everything to their new love interest and abandon the children.
It's not fair. You got to make sure you take care of your kids, right?
Right. So that's a popular trust.
But that's only a bit. There might be sometimes people don't want to, right? Sometimes it's very important for people to know exactly who they're giving the everything to, because someone you may not want to give it to them. Correct?
Correct. There's always the possibility of getting somebody excluded, and that happens.
You're
a lot.
out.
Right.
Go ahead.
That happens a lot.
I know.
People say, my daughter, I'm on the outs with my daughter. I don't want her to get anything. I want you to put her in the will that she's getting nothing.
That's why it's personalized. Each one is different, and thus that free review. He's been doing this for 36 years. His website is azlegal.net. Make sure you go to .net, and the phone number to call him direct is 480-345-8100. He's statewide, and some people, if you're having an issue here in Arizona, he can help you out of state as well. So, okay, we're going to go in here. Why do you need a financial power of attorney?
That's a great question, because the financial power of attorney is going to allow somebody to help pay your bills while you're disabled, but prior to your death. It's revoked by death, but there's chances are that you're going to be disabled before you die. The chances of disability are actually much greater. So you need a document that allows somebody to pay those bills and make sure that your needs are taken care of while you're still alive, but you're disabled.
Okay, and what about a medical power of attorney?
Just like the financial power of attorney, it does not survive your death. But that's a very different instrument. That's going to allow somebody to make medical decisions on your behalf when you're disabled. That's a very important document.
So again, he's been doing this for 36 years. When you work with people, okay, and do they come to you? Do you go to them? How does it work?
Generally, they'll come into the office. I have had situations where we've actually executed wills and documents in a hospital setting or in a hospice setting. But they do have to have testamentary capacity, which is the ability to know what they're doing and to make a will, the mental capacity to do that. And sometimes people wait so long that they no longer have testamentary capacity, then we can't help them.
So what's a living will?
A living will is a medical document, and basically it says that what you want done in terms of if you become terminally ill, what kind of medical treatment you want or don't want, whether to pull the plug or not. Again, it's a very important document, and the living will and the medical power of attorney kind of go together, and then those are usually put with the will registry or the Arizona Medical Directives Registry. There's no will registry, but there's a medical directives registry. You put them on file with those. You get a card issued by the Secretary of State that has a user ID and a password, and then you can get those documents. They're available any place in the world, as long as you have internet.
Wow, that's pretty neat. I never heard of that before. So, okay, this is why I love my show. And I say this so much, I'm saying it for every show. I love my show. How about you? Do you like it? But the reason why I love the show is because it's information for people out there. And you might say something totally different than somebody else, and they hear something and they're like, oh, my God, I never heard of that. And that's why I love my show. So, when you were talking about that living will, I also think that everyone should have a living will. I don't care who you are. I think everyone should have it, especially, I mean, even if you're a kid, you know, in college and you go off and you go skiing somewhere and something, God forbid, happens, it could be anything that can happen to anyone at any time.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I really do. So it's important for you to not put your head in the sand. We have a couple of minutes over. I'm trying to get to all of this. I don't want to talk about the estate because everybody knows that, right?
What's an estate? A lot of people think they don't have an estate, but they do. If they have a bank account, if they have a car, if they have a house, they have an estate.
So you know what I think? I don't think it matters whether you have a estate or not. You start off at least with that living will. Do you agree?
The medical documents are very important.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Absolutely. Let's go back to this registry. Would you like to repeat that again? Because you got that question right there. It says, does Arizona have a will registry? So let's ask it again. Do they?
So we don't have a will registry for wills.
So it's not for wills. It's only for?
It's for Arizona Advanced Directives, which are living wills and medical powers of attorney.
Okay, got it. So those are for the living wills. So when, when with your website, do you have a lot of information on there that people can go and kind of check out? Because a lot of people love going on websites and learning all about you.
We have quite a bit of information on various legal topics on our website.
So you can check him out on his website. It is azlegal.net. The phone number to call him direct is 480-345-8100. He's been doing this for 36 years. And, you know, it just depends on what you're doing with him. I think it starts off with a conversation. Find out what's going on. Give him a call and start with that. 480-345-8100. Check him out on his website. Again, it's azlegal.net. Make sure you go to .net, guys, because it's azlegal.net.